Thanks, Kim. One of the places that I spent more time with Bob and Muggs than probably anywhere else was Carnegie Center, and that included in the days before Bob retired in 1998. He'd go into Carnegie, and there would be Bob. He's supposed to be working, and he would be there. But and he was working. I don't know if people know this, but the way he got onto the Gilbert Jordan murder case was because the sister of one of the women that Jordan killed came to him because she knew he was a reporter, and she wanted him to tell the world what was going on. And so he worked with her to bring that case out and to actually make that happen. What I want to do now, because Bob and Muggs spent so much time at Carnegie Center, is ask Rika Uto to come up and talk about Bob's time at Carnegie.
Hi everyone. So I am not going to talk about Bob's time at Carnegie because it's impossible to do that. I mean, Bob was there for a long time, and he had his fingers in everything. He had fingers in everything at Carnegie, from the volunteer program to the library to the kitchen to, of course, the board that he was on, the committees, admin. And I just want to first say, Muggs, I bring a lot of greetings from many people who love Bob and who love you. All those people have different angles and different stories to tell about Bob. So I really feel incapable of doing that. So I'm just going to talk about it from my perspective of having been an arts and education programmer for many years. And I would say that the years that Bob was a really active volunteer at Carnegie were the easiest years for me as a programmer, because he basically ran programs himself there. He had great ideas, and there were things that he really wanted to. He took the concept of my community center. He really embraced it. He really thought it was his community center. It was in his neighborhood. It was in the neighborhood that he loved. So once he retired from Vancouver Sun, he was at Carnegie a lot, and he really embraced it at his community center. He wanted to run programs. He wasn't just going to wait for programs to be offered to him. He was going to create those programs and find people to run them. So I just sat back and waited for Bob to come. So anyway, so there are things like, for example, he thought that there wasn't enough classical music at Carnegie, so he connected with his contacts and brought both small chamber music and bands to Carnegie, and those things are still going on today from those contacts. He decided he really wanted to learn math, so he brought one of his friends, acquaintances, to teach math every week at the Carnegie Learning Center, and that continued on for a long time. After Bob left, came here. As many of you probably know that Bob wrote articles for the Vancouver Sun. They were sort of like urban/nature walks, and he really felt that although those articles were popular, many of the people who lived and came to the Carnegie didn't have access to get to those places, so he wanted to start the Sarti walk. So we did the Sarti walks. So I drove, and he told me where to go, and we went to many wonderful places. Everyone loved them. Every year, though, without fail, we would go to see Glenn Clark's infamous deck. So we would have to drive and over to we're gonna go to Glenn Clark's deck. So there were so many wonderful programs that he ran and he supported. I mean, he did everything. He would create the programs, he would find people for them, volunteers, or sometimes I would pay them. He would promote it, he would go around, bringing people to the programs, and he would attend them himself. And Yeah, he was a great program. Not all programs worked well. He did this one thing called, is it art or is it fart? And I think it was partly he's kind of, countering the gentrifying forces in the downtown east side. I think also he really was, didn't think much of high art. He liked people to have access to art and what he considered to be popular art. And so we would do these walks and go to some public art pieces and, in the neighborhood. And, one time though, one of the participants, he kind of almost came to blows with one of the participants, and some of you know who that participant was. It was Lee Donahue. and they didn't, agree on the verdict of whether it was art or is it fart. So it was kind of a controversial program, and it kind of only lasted a couple of times. We had a lot of fun with Bob. Fundamental to all of these programs, everything that he did was his commitment to inclusion and to access. He really believed that people in the neighborhood should have as much access to music, theater, art as anyone else in the city. So he really tried to bring that to the center. I really miss him. He was a great programmer. I just wanted to also, I know Michael Clegg, who used to be the director of Carnegie, sent a little thing to Bob, to Muggs, and to me, so I'd just like to read that. It's very short. Dear Muggs, I'm thinking of you and tomorrow's celebration of Bob's life. What a character, committed and caring and irrepressible and fearless. A person whose ebullience affected everything he did. Master chef for Bean's dinner night at Carnegie, producer of an anarchist film festival where a killer stump was on the rampage, upstaging a downtown Eastside parade protesting harm reduction efforts with several other counter-demonstrators dressed in black and carrying a coffin symbolizing overdose deaths by slipping into the front of the parade, then getting out of the hoosgow later that afternoon. One of Bob's lasting legacies was in telling the stories of resistance and victory of the residents of the downtown East Side through the power of musical theater. We miss him. Have a wonderful day, Michael. Thank you.